evening, each and every one of you. I want to thank you so much for joining us once again on the Breaking the Barriers Leadership Summit. Listen, tonight, you guys, I have a phenomenal treat for you. Listen, I'm almost tempted to do that famous call, but I'm gonna let him do it because he's a pro at it. He's a pro at it. But I'm gonna tell you this, you guys, we have none other than the man himself, Mr. Brian Keith. Listen, you guys, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of who he is, but I'm going to step out the way and I'm going to allow him to share his wisdom with you guys. And if you have been following him, and I know you have, then I can almost guarantee that what you're getting ready to experience tonight is going to be on a whole nother level. And so I want to welcome you guys for being here. So let's get right into this. Mr. Brian Keith is a husband and father of 4 that has found success through faith, family, and entrepreneurship. I absolutely love that. Now, however, in many ways, I'm just a little boy who was looking to get his daddy's affirmation. Oh, my goodness. Going through the pain of not really knowing who I was or knowing my value, I made a great deal of mistakes. Some of those mistakes turned into addictions, and I'm so excited to hear about that. But through the power of God, I have overcome. Yeah. The good news is the process created a blueprint that I feel obligated to help everyone know. Mr. Brian Keith, thank you so much for joining the Leadership Summit, my friend. How are you?
Man, I'm doing fine. It's funny that you would put leadership and my name together because I can remember for such a long time, I didn't feel like a leader at all.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
I didn't feel like a leader at all. In fact, you said it, that little boy who's just looking for an opportunity to hear his father say, well done, But as I think about it, isn't that what we're all doing? Well done, my good and faithful servant.
Absolutely.
And so then the big question becomes, Mike, do we take those situations, those circumstances, do we take that pain and do we live it out? Or do we allow it to be the thing that shapes us? We talk about silver or we talk about diamonds or gold. All that stuff has to go through a process. You don't just take it out of the ground and put it on a ring. No. It's got to be beat. It's got to be heated. It's got to be shaped. It's got to be formed. And so in order for you to glitter like gold, in order for you to shine like a diamond, you got to go through some pain, man. And so far too many times we don't want that pain. We avoid that pain. And so I'm just listening to, and I see, for example, as we're speaking, we're talking about multiple mass shootings. What does that mean? That means that you have a heart full of pain.
Wow.
What's the solution? I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the solution is, but I'll tell you this. If I operate in my gift, if I operate in my purpose, see, look, everything in this life, this screen that we're looking at, these clothes we have on, if I take this coat and I wrap it around my waist, it doesn't have the same function. And so far too many of us are doing things out of order, out of season, and out of line. We're trying to be somebody else. I'm not Mike Lewis. Mike Lewis is Mike Lewis. I'm Brian Keith. And so if I'm trying to be you, 2 things happen. If I try to be you, 2 things happen. The position that I'm supposed to have is now vacant, now dormant, and I'm in your spot. So when you do that, you displace 3 people because I'm not who I'm supposed to be. My spot is vacant. You can't get in your spot and I can't do what you do. I'm not designed. I don't have your purpose. I don't have your design. So I'm in your spot taking up space, but I can't do what you do. So you displace 3 people. Everybody gets hurt. And so my question to you is, and the question to those who are listening, find your purpose. What is your purpose? What do you do? What is God? What did God? Because if the word says that he knows the end from the beginning, that means that you had a purpose before you had a person.
Absolutely.
We had a purpose before we had a person. So what are we going to do to find? We should be in hot pursuit. I don't know if you watched Dukes of Hazzard years ago. There was this guy named, he was a sheriff. He was like, I'm in hot pursuit. We need to be in hot pursuit after our purpose, my friend. You got to be chasing this thing down. We got to be trying to figure it out. What's your purpose? What's your calling? What are your gifts? You know what I mean? What did God put you on? But most of all, what's your assignment?
Wow. So, oh my goodness, brother, that is so rich. And just that alone, that is so rich. So let's deal with that.
Okay.
Let's deal with that because I'm sold on what you just said is that every single one of us has a purpose.
Yes.
Every single one of us. And I believe with everything in me, like the Bible says that before we were formed in the womb, he knew us.
He knew us. Yeah.
He gave us an assignment. He gave us an expected end.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, when did that click for you? Because in the introduction, you also mentioned that, you made some mistakes. So what was it that sparked that awareness that Brian Keith had a purpose?
Quite frankly, it's because I exhausted every other option.
Wow.
I kept kicking my head. What does the word say? It talks about kicking your head or kicking your fist against the pricks or kicking your foot against the pricks. I did that for years. But it wasn't until I married my wife, things started to line up. See, I had businesses before I was married. They were okay. But the business that I started after I was married, after I lined up, here's the thing. So your question is, what's the right thing to do? Let's just phrase it that way. What is the right thing to do? See, we try to look at this thing based on step 10, step 20. We're trying to figure out how to build the building. But God never asked you to build a building. What he's asking you to do is, I just need you to take that shovel and I need you to dig in the ground. All he's asking us to do is to take step 1. So the answer to the question of what's the right thing for me to do to find my gift, to find my purpose. First of all, let me say this. I think your purpose is so powerful that you can't find it, it finds you. Your purpose is it's etched into your DNA. So it's like all you got to do is be obedient and you will align with your purpose. Think about this. We talk about Jonah, but if it wasn't for Jonah's disobedience, we might not have heard of Jonah. Wow. So even in my disobedience, God was still sovereign. He was still powerful. He was still guiding me in the right direction. And Nineveh still got the gospel.
Yes, it did.
But he got double for it, right? So now Nineveh still got the gospel, but Jonah would never do that again.
Wow.
Yeah. Now he was like, God, what? How high? God said, jump. He said, how high? So obedience came out of that, right? And we heard the story of the big fish. What is my point? What I'm saying is this. We know the steps. So here's the question. What is the right thing to do? The right thing is the right thing in front of you. What's right in front of you for right now to do? What do you need to do? What does Mike Lewis need to do? What does Brian Keith need to do? Okay, be a father to your children. Be a husband to your wife. Be a man of your word. Have integrity. You remember back in the day, Mike, we used to say, word is bond, right? Man. Your word is your bond. African Americans, we hyphenate things quick. Word is bond. It means word is bond. Your word has to be your bond. My mother taught me this, and she gave this to me by my grandfather. And my grandfather was a wise man. He was beloved in his community. My grandfather was wealthy. He was beloved. He had a family around him. He was successful in every way. This is what he said. He said, all you have in this life, not your wealth, not your family, not your success, is your name. That's it. What is your name worth? Why do we say that Jesus Christ is the name above all names? Because at the end of the day, what does it conjure in people's minds when they say Michael Lewis, Brian Keith? What does that mean? Is it synonymous with integrity? Or do you get maybe sometimes, I don't know, they say in Spanish, más o menos. Más o menos, that means more or less. Are you more or less? Are you más o menos? Or are you the kind of person who does what they say they're going to do? Now, That for me came out of business. I started looking at entrepreneurship. And we didn't call it entrepreneurship back in the day, if I can tell you. We just called it, that's the guy who doesn't have a job, right? Yeah, he's just a guy who doesn't have a job. But for me, it was the best way to move. Now, entrepreneurship now is quite sexy. It's quite appealing. And so I'm tapping into that, and I feel like I have a voice to help people understand. But here's what I want you to think about. Genesis 1:26 talks about the image of God, and then it says the likeness of God. And it says it right back. So it says image, likeness, dominion. Image, likeness, dominion. So first of all, what is image? Okay, image is, I look like God, but then what is likeness? I had a hard time understanding that because it sounds like it's the same thing. But we know God is not confused, so he's not repeating himself. I looked that word up, likeness. Likeness means we are the direct copy of God in the earth. That means we are connected to God through DNA. then that means that I am God. And so what does that mean? What does that mean for me to operate in his likeness, being his designated copy here on earth? When I operate in the likeness of God, and if I operate in the likeness, I have dominion. The way that I operate in the likeness is to do what God did. God did something, or better yet, God does something that we do that nothing else on this planet can do. We can think a thought, Mike, speak it out of our mouth, and turn it into a thing.
Absolutely.
We have the ability to turn thoughts into things. So the power of your purpose, the power of your gift, the power of your anointing is in your ability to take an idea given from God and turn that into a thing. And that thing can sustain you financially. That thing can give you notoriety. That thing could be the reason why people like my grandfather know you and appreciate you. So we have to become like God. We need to be consistent with God and operate in his likeness and make sure that we are always taking ideas and turning them into things.
Wow.
If we give our ideas to a job, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with a job. If you're going to give your idea to a job, make sure you're doing so on your terms. Make sure you have a lion's share of the process. Use it as leverage. Well, I understand the value I bring. We talk about adding value. That's bringing an idea to the table. That's taking an idea to the marketplace, adding value. See, there's a lot of terms that are thrown around that are actually written in that ancient text. We say add value now, but that's always been purpose. That's what purpose means. Adding value is to walk in purpose. So if you're adding value, you are literally walking around creating things. We reward the creators in our society. If you talk about the biggest businesses, if you talk about the people who have amassed the most wealth, they've done so because they created something that changed the world. They created something that made humanity easier to live. They fixed something. They solved the big problem. And so what I'm asking people to do, especially if you have a man or a woman of faith, I'm asking you to say, as a leader, I want you to take your ideas, take them to the marketplace, and I want you to sell them to the highest bidder. But I want you to operate, hear me. I want you to operate based on your core values. I want you to make sure, don't compromise your faith. Don't compromise your peace. Don't compromise your compassion. Don't compromise your integrity. Go into the marketplace and solve problems so that you have value, add value to the culture, because ultimately that's the purpose. The purpose is to add value to life. That's what we're here to do. And so when we start talking about what is my purpose, what am I here to do? I understand the question and I respect where people are coming from, but it's like you're not actually asking me what your purpose is. What you're saying is, I've already pledged allegiance to this job. I pledged allegiance to going to school. I pledged allegiance to having a job and making sure that this company takes care of me. If you have faith in that company, why don't you have faith in God?
Wow.
Why not have faith in God?
So, oh my goodness. So you coming right down my street, brother, because I was having a conversation with someone today about this very thing. And how do you, for you, when did you recognize, because you said you have to do it on your terms.
Yes.
When did you recognize that, first and foremost, what your terms were?
Yeah.
And then how did you, what was it that caused you to say, you know what, regardless of what it appears to be, I'm going to trust God and I'm going to move towards the direction that he's leading me? Like, when did that happen for you?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if it has even happened yet. So
Gotcha.
I'm still trying to figure this thing out on a day-to-day basis. But I will tell you what I have done. And I am trying to reverse engineer this thing, right? Look at this thing from another angle. So the first thing I did was I just served.
Wow.
So I served, Mike. And so as I began to serve, I began to pay attention to the trends. I started to see what was happening. Okay, I noticed that if I served in this particular way, this was the outcome. But if I served in this particular way, that was the outcome. So I went from serving, Mike, to being very strategic, and I started solving.
Wow.
So I didn't just serve just to be serving. Everybody who's at McDonald's is serving. But there's a manager who's serving strategically. And because he's serving strategically, he can charge more money for that solution.
Wow.
Because it's all about solutions and problems. If you have a big problem and you need a big solution, that means there's going to be a big paycheck.
Absolutely.
It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. And those systems operate whether you know God or not. because God is sovereign and he set those systems in place. Every seed produces after its own kind.
Absolutely.
The rain falls on the just and the unjust. So you don't have to say Jesus to know it's going to rain on your head at some point. If you put a seed in the ground, it will produce. That's the bottom line. So I started to serve, right? Serve. Then I started to say, wait a minute, if I serve this way, I get a bigger outcome. If I serve here, I can put in that same hour, but I can get double, triple the outcome. So I started to stop serving just to be serving. I started solving. So I went from serving to solving. And what is solving? Solving is serving strategically. After a while, I served and solved for such a long time, I started to get really good at it. I started to solve bigger and bigger problems. Then I began recognized as a person who solves problems. And once I was recognized as a person who solved problems, now every day my confidence is gaining. See, confidence isn't something that you get like that. No. Confidence is something that you get increment by increment, little bit by little bit. And you get it by doing one thing and it was well, oh, wow. And if we notice, what did God say? He did this and look, it was good. You do this, oh, wow. And looked at it and that is good. So God himself was building confidence. You build confidence. So you do something, you step out, what's in front of you, what's around you, what's the right thing to do, the thing that's in front of you. You do that thing and it was good. Okay, wait a minute, I did that thing and it wasn't good. Don't do that again. Let's do this some more, right? We do this some more and we tweak it. Now we're starting to do it on a high level. So serve, solve, master. Once I started to master my craft, once I began known for what I did, people started to seek me out for what I do. Now you can't touch everything. You're only one person, right? Your only commodity is time. So you can't do it all. So what did you have to do? I had to raise my prices. So immediately I went from serving to solving to mastering to monetizing. I was able to monetize because I was known to have mastered my craft. And now I can charge more because I don't have to serve everyone.
Wow.
I have options now.
So let's expound on that a little bit, because I know there's people watching this right now that have indeed recognized the gift that God has placed on the inside of them, but there's this traditional thinking that you can't, or it's against the will of God to actually charge for that. Right. And I believe with everything in me that I believe the Bible is true. And especially when it says that a man's gift will make room for him and place him before great men. And so I don't hesitate when a person asks, well, how much do you charge? Because the price, right? But for that individual that has not arrived to that point yet, what would you tell that individual? How to overcome that guilt of charging based on the value that you're providing instead of their perception of who you are?
Wonderful. Great question. Powerful question. So they're right. You don't charge for a gift, but you do charge for a talent, ability, and a skill. And what you do is you take that gift and you create a talent, ability, and skill based on that gift. I'm not going to charge you to speak life into you. I'm not going to charge you to be an encourager. But I will charge you to come and speak life into your church. Wow. That's two different things. That's not the same thing. Or if I create a DVD or a system, or I write a book about encouragement, exhortation, that's the gift, right? Exhortation. But I'm using my time, resource. I'm taking time away from my family to speak life into you. I have a right, if I choose, I might decide to give it away. I can charge you for that time, because what I'm going to give you in that exhortation is going to make you money. And that's the real piece. The real piece is what happens when they use the information you give them. If I give you a seed and you go and plant a forest with it, you're telling me I shouldn't charge for the seed? Wow. So the difference is simple. Your gift, I agree. Don't charge for your gift. I'll exhort you all day long. If you're in my path, I'll speak life to you. But if I got to get on a plane and drive across the country, I got to miss out on my family, I'm going to charge you for that. Because now you're not paying me for my exhortation. You're actually paying me for my time. And that's a huge difference. So my talent, my gifts, my abilities, and my time are not the same as my gift. Because if it was just my gift, we can talk on the phone. It'll be when I want it to be, right? It might be on my way home from work in the car, if it's my gift. But if you want me to drive across the country, if you want me to get on the planes, trains, and automobiles to speak life at your conference, then there has to be a compensation for that. You see what I'm saying? And so I do want people to find that balance, because each person has to have their own balance, because I do agree. There are some people who believe in, see, the business I have right now, I currently have a carpet rubbing and upholstery cleaning business. And I hope that you can catch this analogy, and I hope that people can catch the analogy. One of my biggest fears, and the reason why I don't sell to my customers, I only sell them what they ask me for, is because I never want to be connected with an industry ill. And that industry ill is called bait and switch. Right, where they advertise $40 to come in and clean your whole house. And when you get there, by the time they leave, it's $50. And so in the mind of a lot of people who have giftings, they don't want to be bait and switchers.
Wow.
What they really are saying is, what they're really saying is that I'm not 100% sure that my gift is transformative. So I'm afraid to ask for the transaction because I'm not 100% sure that my gift is transformative. That's a confidence issue. Wow. That's not a dollars and cents issue. I'm not sure, because here's the thing. Your talents, gifts, and abilities are what your job pays you for. In fact, I'll say it this way. Your job takes your talents, gifts, and abilities to the marketplace and sells them to the highest bidder. Then they make the money, bring it back to the building, and then they say, okay, I'll tell you what, we're going to give you a little vacation, we're going to give you a little comp time, we're going to give you a little sick time, but that's all coming from the money you generate. So you'll give that to a job, but you won't charge the marketplace directly. That's not real. That's not honest. We're being silly. We're getting religious here. That's not honest. You're going to the same people, the same people who are taking your talent, gifts, and abilities to the marketplace are not even honoring God.
Wow.
It's a mindset.
Look, you gotta do it for me one time, man. Just how you just
woo, baby.
There it is. Oh my goodness, man. That is so powerful.
Yeah.
That is so powerful. My goodness. Brother, listen. Yeah. This needs to be a 2-day event. This needs to be a 2-day event, man. We're going to have to do some extra, because I know that the people watching this right now are on fire. I know it, because these are the people, Mr. Keith, these are the people that are hungry. Yeah. They're hungry for purpose. They're hungry for what they know that God is telling them. Hey, listen, there's more that I have for you, but I need you to just push out. I need you to get out of that comfort zone. I need you to understand that all that you need is in me. I just need you to move. Yeah. Right. And so, man, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, you are lighting them up right now. But I have a question, because you mentioned a word that I believe a lot of people are trying to locate, if I can say it that way. And that is, you have to create that balance. Yes. Now, understanding that you're your husband and you're also a father of 4, how are you creating that balance in your home personally?
It is a challenge. It is
wow.
a challenge. The best answer I have is really not my own. It's actually something I learned from T.D. Jakes. He said this. He said, look, you're going to drop a ball. Every day you're going to drop one of those balls. Just make sure it's not the same ball every day.
Wow.
So you can't be a husband every day. You can't be the best father every single day. You can't be the best entrepreneur, or you can't be the best community leader every single day. You can't do it every single day. You have to eat, you have to go to sleep, you have to travel between places. And so as long as you make sure that you are intentional, make sure you get some family time in, make sure that you're purposeful, have a communication, talk to the people that you love. And so you got to find that balance that way. And I think that balance is different from every person. I don't think it's always going to be the same. It depends on your wife's disposition. What does she need? What do your children need? Like my 20-year-old daughter has a totally different set of needs than my 10-year-old daughter. They're not the same. My 10-year-old daughter, we can hold hands and we can go get ice cream. But my 20-year-old daughter is kind of like, what's up, bro? It's different. It's different,
Yeah.
But it's still love, it's love. Yeah. And so you have to be very mindful. In fact, I'll tell you something pretty personal. My 20-year-old daughter just recently moved out.
Wow.
Yeah. And she didn't move out the right way. Yeah. But I had to come to terms and say, and this happened just yesterday, I had to make a decision. Okay, even though I have a right to be angry, even though I have a right to lay down the law, I had to ask the question, is it expedient for me?
Mm.
Is it to my benefit for that to happen? Did she leave right? No, she did not. Was she disrespectful? Yes, she was. Is she going to make it out there on her own? Probably not. Will she need me in the future? Yes, she will. But what I'm going to do is be like Jesus on this one. And I'm glad I got this one right because I didn't always get it right. I'm going to be like Jesus on this one and keep on taking her back as many times as I have to take her back. Because the end, Mike, it's about relationships. It's about love. So here's the answer to your question. You're going to mess up. You're going to drop the ball. I'm probably not the husband of the year or the father of the year. I'm not even the entrepreneur of the year. But I do have I tell you what my superpower is. And it's under this shirt. It's a big R. And that R is for repent.
Ah.
I know how to repent. I know how to change my mind. I know how to change my state of mind. And I know how to change my direction. That's what repentance is. And you have to be a person who repents because we have to understand, read the scriptures. God repented. If God repented, there has to be something there has to be an arrow in your quiver. Repentance. Do you have the ability? Because you're going to miss the mark. You're going to miss the mark. And if you miss the mark, what are you going to do about it? So for me, as a business owner, to me, the standard for a business that I'm using, or even someone who's using my business, the standard is never your 5-star customer. That's never the standard. The standard is how do you handle the 1-star customer, 1-star review, right? Because the 1-star review, that person has gotten upset. They're angry. They've taken the niceties and they've pushed them out of the way. And now you're about to get some unfiltered, raw data about your business and about yourself. And if you're not offended, if you're strong enough, you're about to hear something that's about to help you move to the next level. Don't listen to the 5 stars. They're telling you, Abba Father. They're telling you, Hosanna, right? It wasn't the 5 stars. It wasn't what they said about Jesus on Palm Sunday that mattered.
Wow.
It's what they said about him on Friday that mattered.
My goodness. My goodness.
That's when when they spoke on Friday, they spoke truth.
Yes, sir.
When they spoke on Sunday, they were lying.
Wow. Wow.
Are we ready for truth? Are we ready for truth? Because the only way that we can be free. Now, why did God connect truth and freedom together? I don't know, but he did. He connected truth and freedom. And so the truth is with my daughter, I had to say these words to her. I said, come in the house. I need to talk to you. First of all, let me tell you something. And this is what I said. I said, the environment that I created, the things that I said to you, the things that I did to you that made you feel like you couldn't live here anymore, that you didn't want to be a part of this family anymore, for that, I am sorry.
Wow.
So I took away, listen to what I'm saying. I took the devil's ability to use that as manipulation. He don't care nothing about you. No, I've taken it all away.
Wow.
It's gone. It's gone. Now you should have seen the spirit, the levity that came as a result. I don't know what the decision she's going to make, because the decision was, hey, you left, but I tell you what, come on back.
Wow.
Come on back if you want to come on back. But I need to know by Monday, today's that day.
Wow.
I let her know, but I let her know I love you. You'll never stop being my daughter. You can walk away from me and say I'm not your father, but you'll never stop being my daughter. You don't know what it was like. I held you in my arms. I've taken care of you for 20 years of your life, and you've never not known me. You understand what I'm saying? No, I love you. I love you. And so my question, or the answer is to your question is, how do we find that thing? It's going to be some pain. See, here's a part that we don't really like. In order for Joseph to facilitate that dream, he had to be betrayed by his brothers. He had to become part of the chain gang. He had to be sold into slavery. He had to go into Potter's house and be accused of rape. He had to be put in jail. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's some things that you got to go through. You say you want the dream. You say you want the purpose. You say you want the calling, but all of that stuff has a cost. Wow. It all has a cost, and it won't make you look good. Yeah. So there's a cost to doing what I do. There's a cost.
Brother, I'm going to tell you this. Oh, wow. When I tell you, brother, I almost think you a fly on the wall in my house. It's amazing, man. It is absolutely amazing. My daughter's only 13.
Wow.
And some of the things that you just shared is what I'm hearing at this point. And like yourself, man, I have never, ever, ever gone without being a father.
That's it. Yeah.
Ever. And I understand at 13 years old, there's things that she's unable to process. And brother, you just helped me more than you know. And I appreciate that, man. My goodness, we're gonna have to do this again. We have to.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
But I have one request. As we close this out,
sure.
What would you share as a last piece of advice to our audience? Again, we're dealing with hungry, purpose-driven leaders. And what would you share with them? And then tell us how we can remain connected to you, because I know that the world is in an uproar right now because Mr. Brian Keith, brother, you brought the business tonight. And I want to say, before I give you the final close, brother, thank you from the depth of my heart, man. Thank you. And I'm requesting, please, can we do this again?
Oh yeah, definitely.
This helped me tremendously. I have to, and I know my wife is going to watch it as well, but I want her to see this night, because I'm going to tell you this. Right before I came, because this is my wife's studio, right?
That's nice.
And right before I came out here tonight, we were having a very similar conversation.
Okay.
We were talking about balance.
Yes.
We were talking about our children. We have a family of 8. We have a blended family.
Oh wow. Okay.
From all walks of life.
Yeah.
you know, and it's, brother, thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you.
My goodness, man, I thank God for you being obedient to the purpose that he has on your life, because you changed mine tonight, no doubt about it.
Man. Thank you for saying that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. So a last piece of advice that you can share with our audience, what would you say?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this is hot off the presses. This is so important to me right now. We are so adamant about knowing our core values. You hear about core values, right? We hear about purpose. We hear about calling. We hear about gifting. But I want you to do one thing for me. I want you to be intimately connected to your core values, but I also want you to be intimately connected to your core vices. There are some things that you inherited through the bloodline.
Wow.
The sins of the fathers are transferred to the 3rd and the 4th generations. It's not what greatness in men that makes them fall. It's never their gift that makes them fall. It's always their vice. And so I need you to be intimately connected to your vice. I need you to be intimately connected to the thing that you don't do well, the thing that you push away, the thing that's in the closet, that big elephant, if you will, the elephant in the room that you pretend that you don't know. Those addictions. We talked about addictions earlier. The things in your character, we talked about character, the things in your character, you're not honest. You know that under pressure, you compromise. I need you to address that thing, and I need you to find accountability in your life for those things, right? And unless you find accountability, people who can hold you up in that particular case, you're going to eventually get so high and so tall, but because you didn't measure your foundation, when the winds come, and they're coming, when the pressure comes and it's coming, your building is going to fall. And we see it every day. We see someone who had a high role, high position, who's now losing because he didn't do something about those vices. Wow. And so here's the thing I want you to do. It's coming straight out of, I believe, Mark chapter 2. And it talks about the story of the man who was on the lame man on a mat, and he was being carried by his friends, and they were carrying him to see Jesus. And when I saw this man, I could picture this man on this mat. And the best way to carry something is to have a person on 4 corners, right? So the 4 corners represent 4 people, and then the man on the mat represents 5. And what God was showing me was that you have to have someone who can carry your dreams when you can't carry. You got to have at least 4 people in your life who can carry your dreams when you can't carry. And as the story goes, they took the man up to the house. They couldn't get in. It was busy, super busy. So what they do? They ripped the lame man, they ripped the roof off and lowered him down. Jesus saw their faith and healed him, not because he was lame. He healed them because of their faith. So what I'm saying is this: you need 4 people in your life that can do 3 very unique things. They can carry your dreams when you can't carry them. They can offer you advice when you come up with a lame idea, a lame concept, or a lame mindset. Because there's some stuff that we got in our heads that are lame. You and I had a quick conversation. Maybe some of the things you were thinking about how to address your daughter, they might be lame. They may have been within your rights to do, but they would have been lame because they would not have produced life. If it doesn't produce life, it's lame, right? And then the third thing they did was this. They put themselves in harm's way for their friend. So you need 4 people who can do those 3 things, who can carry your dreams when you can't carry them anymore, challenge you when you have a lame idea, concept, or a mindset, and then they're willing to put themselves in harm's way for you. And I call those 4 people, including you, your Fab 5. So in order for you to address your core vices in your life, you need accountability, and it needs to be in that Fab 5.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My goodness, brother. How can they reach you?
My name is Brian Keith, and I go by Brian Keith 360 on all social media platforms. Brian Keith 360.
Wow. And you have a free gift that you're going to provide for them. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And can you tell them what that is? And we're gonna make sure that they have the link and all the access to your social media, just whatever form of contact. I want to make sure that they got it, brother. So what's this free resource that you're going to provide for the
free resource is my time. What I'm willing to do is to do a 15-minute coaching session with anyone who reaches out to me and puts in the tagline Mike Lewis. All they need to do is go Mike Lewis. That's the code word. And that will let me know that they found me through this particular program. And I will give them a 15-minute session, coaching session on entrepreneurship. Because we have got to figure out how to take those ideas and turn them into things.
My goodness. Brother, thank you.
Thank you.
From the depth of my heart, brother. Thank you so much. I am honored. I am honored that you are part of this summit. And I know that lives have without a doubt been changed tonight, my friend. I'm humbled. I'm in your debt. And I thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what more can I say? I can't add anything to what Mr. Keith has shared with us tonight. Listen, you guys, I know my life has been changed because he helped me tremendously. And Mr. Keith, we're going to talk even more. But
look forward to it.
Yeah. My goodness, you guys, listen, reach out to Mr. Keith. Reach out to him. He has a servant heart. He's a man of God that's looking to serve. And I'm telling you right now, I know that you that are watching this right now, you've been praying for this. I know it. You've been praying for this, and your answer has just arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. And as always, I want you to understand that when you're living in your purpose, there's no such thing as competition. Until next time, take care. God bless.